I want to thank you for being so patient with me during this time, from my last fight, my surgery, and my negotiation behind the scene with the UFC.
Following Francis's UFC exit, UFC President Dana White,
we kept trying to get this deal done with Francis, and then finally it just, we got to the realization that it wasn't going to happen.
had a lot to say, but it looks like Ngannou is unfazed by these comments and wants to make the Tyson Fury fight happen.
And we're going to find out who is the baddest on the planet.
Good man, Francis!
Yeah, I get a couple months, then I'll be right back on my feet.
Still, that doesn't make what Dana said any better. What did Dana exactly say?
You're going to fight arguably the greatest fighter of all time. You'd be the highest paid heavyweight ever in UFC history.
It was announced early in January, on the 15th, that Francis had been released from the UFC after he turned down another contract that would have made him the highest paid UFC fighter. Soon after this, Dana talked to the media and said something about the heavyweight fighter's exit from the UFC.
So we're gonna let him do that. We're gonna release him from his contract. We're gonna give up our right to match, and he can go wherever he wants and do whatever he wants.
Dana said that he feels like Francis is in a place in his career where he doesn't really want to take a risk and play it safe. Why? The president explained that he thinks that Francis feels like he can fight a lower number of fighters and fight easier fighters and still make more money than a lot of other fighters.
Feels like he's in a good position where he could fight lesser opponents and make more money.
Now, this already sounds pretty ridiculous. Francis is one of the scariest fighters in the heavyweight, so a lot of fans were confused by this statement from Dana. He continued to talk about how Francis had a knee surgery and hasn't had a real training camp. White thinks it all has a lot to do with why Francis made his exit. Another thing that doesn't make any sense, because 1. Francis was ready to fight and fought well as soon as his knee recovered, even against his doctor's advice, and 2, let's be honest, does going to a real training camp really matter when you fight better than a lot of fighters who did go to one? I doubt it. He continued to talk about how Francis isn't getting younger and basically implied that it was Francis that didn't want to fight, adding the fighter to his ever-growing list of fighters he says don't want to fight. Now, all this should rub Francis the wrong way, but it didn't. Here's what Francis had to say about Dana's comments. Francis seemed to be unfazed by everything that Dana said. Maybe it's because he knows that it's not even true, and it's all just excuses and cover-ups for why he couldn't keep Francis in the UFC. Because, come on, we all know Francis Ngannou is a fighter no championship would want to lose. After what Dana said came to Ngannou's attention, he spoke about it at the MMA Hour. You know, Dana is Dana. He dismissed Dana's comments just like that. He said that he doesn't care about what the UFC president has to say about him. He said that he was not hurt at all by the things Dana said about him.
It's very crucial for my future. I have to take a time, decide what's my next move.
Why, you might ask? Well, he continued to tell us about how he had heard things much worse from where he comes from. All that has made him really resilient and basically immune to this sort of negativity. He said that despite all of what people have had to say throughout his career, he's still here, doing what he loves. He then continued to say something sassy, and honestly, that's the attitude we all need this year. He said that what Dana said about him was Dana's problem, and not his. Go off, King. The mixed martial artist said that what truly matters at the end of the day is that he's still here and has a bright future in fighting ahead, and his UFC exit isn't the end of his career. He added that he can tell that Dana is upset and trying to come up with things to rest himself. He knows that the UFC president is upset to watch a champion walk away just like that. Looks like Francis is being the bigger man here, because you know what else he said? I don't take any of this personal. Ngannou talked about how he knows what's really going on in Dana's mind, and so he doesn't take any of this personally. The fighter talked about his journey dealing with such negative comments in his career. He said that he thinks he's finally gotten to a point in his life where comments like these don't really do much harm to him or his headspace. And honestly, that's something we all envy now, don't we?
You guys know how the UFC contract can be restrictive, and as an independent contractor, you don't really have a say in that contract. You don't even have a right, so.
But don't worry, Francis kinda told us how he got to this point, and maybe we can get there too. He said that he's so cool with such things now only because of how much he's seen in the past. He's just become indifferent to it all, and it doesn't faze him out anymore. So, I guess it's all about everyone's personal journey in life.
They let you pretend that you're negotiating while you're not negotiating, because either way, you'll stay in the contract. Like, you will have a
And talking about journeys, looks like Francis Ngannou's UFC journey might not be ending here after all. Never say never. Now, this sounds like exciting news, right? I mean, it's too soon to expect anything right now. He's just made his exit from the championship, and it would be quite a while before he comes back. That is, if he decides that's what he wants to do. Till then, he's going to experiment, being a free contractor, and do whatever the heck he wants. And I'm only saying all of this because he himself didn't cancel out any future possibilities. He said that one thing he has learned in his life so far is to never say never. The 36-year-old continued to excite fans, saying that maybe, in the future, he might return to the UFC for a boxing match. He added that when that happens, if it does, no matter the outcome of the fight, one thing that he won't compromise on is the terms of the match. He said that it has to be on his own terms or there's no possibility of it ever happening, which, to be honest, is pretty valid, knowing everything that happened recently. With that said, you know what fight he wants to happen at the moment. Francis thinks it's time to make the Tyson Fury fight happen. This one fight, goodness, have we waited for it for ages. And it looks like it might be becoming a reality pretty soon. The fighter talked to the DAZN Boxing Show on one of their episodes and explained everything about the fight that we are all dying to see. He said that he really does believe that this fight will happen. He has no doubts about it. He added how he thinks that Tyson wants this fight to happen too, just as much as Francis himself does. So it's not like Francis is dragging other fighters in. Tyson probably knows the potential of this fight. He said that because both the fighters who are supposed to go down against each other are more than in agreement to fight, the fight can't be delayed for much longer, and that it would happen pretty soon. But wait, he said that he hasn't had any confirmation from Tyson so far, so he's not sure if he's on board completely with the idea of the fight. But if he isn't, he named another fighter that he would be glad to go down against in a professional boxing match, Anthony Joshua. That was the name Ngannou said when asked about who else he wants to fight. He said he would try to find out more about where Fury stands regarding the fight, but in any case, if that fight didn't materialize, he would be happy to fight the legend Anthony Joshua in the boxing ring. In the same episode of the show, he also talked about how this wasn't going to be his first and only professional boxing match. He then told the viewers that this is the best time to go through with the fight. Given his age, he knows he doesn't have a lifetime ahead of him, so he wants to take this opportunity as soon as he can. And that was all about how Francis Ngannou reacted to Dana White's comments and what he had to say about his fight with Tyson Fury. See you guys in the next video.